Square saying Zimbabwe, welcome to our channel Zim Confessions and Deep Secrets. Kanagariki kutanka Hapana ino channel, please don't forget to subscribe. Subscribe, but don't forget to comment and share this video. Nasi Zimbabwe, takuigiranya bulitswa na Dr. NaNevers Mumba ababuda vachitaura pamusoro peSADC. Mushure mekunge vabvunzwa kuti vari kuona sei mamiriro akaita SADC and the way yairi kuhandla nayo zvinhu. Vabuda vachitaura nyaya yema-elections yakaitika like muno muZimbabwe, vachitaura vachiti problem ine SADC ndeyekuti ma-presidents havasi kubudirana pachena, hanzi SADC leaders havasi kubudirana pachena mukugadzirisa issue yedemocracy. Vakapa example yema-elections akaitwa muno muZimbabwe, chinzi not any president ari muSADC is ready to confront ZANU-PF and President Mnangagwa on the election issue yakaitika muno muZimbabwe. Chinzi there is need for reforms kuti aitwe SADC muZimbabwe. Chinzi even Goyana President Robert Mugabe, and no one could ask Robert Mugabe what to do. So not the only issue muno muSADC iruda kugadzirwa muZimbabwe. Otherwise kasagadzirwa SADC hapana chainokwanisa kugadzirisa muZimbabwe. And they are brothers and they know each other. Vanenge vachikanana kuti if one corrects another, mumwewo anozo batwo pavanoitawo nyaya dzake. Tisingazori munoona sei nyaya yatira kuti mungonzwa issue yataurwa naNaNevers Mumba. NaNevers Mumba vakabuda vachitaura ivo vachiti ma-elections emuno manga asiri credible, zvakonzeresa kuti ZANU-PF iwanikwe ichiradza kusafara nemastatements iyaya akanga abuditswa naNaNevers Mumba muZimbabwe. Tingade kuwesta nguva yedu kuti mungonzwa zvataurwa naNaNevers Mumba during an interview yavanga vachiita. Moti zvamuri kufunga pamusoro penyaya iyi mucomment section. Kutaura kwatiri kuti maZimbabweans are saying SADC kufanira kupindira ma-elections akaitwa muno muZimbabwe. Tisingazive kuti zvichabudirira here kana kuti nekuda kwezvataurwa naNaNevers Mumba kuti hapana ari kukwanisa kuconfronta ZANU-PF on ma-elections akaitwa. Kuti mungonzwa nyaya imwe hamadzo kuti zvamuri kufunga pamusoro penyaya iyi mucomment section.
You are not the only one who is curious. First of all, we first need to understand the genesis of SADC.
Okay.
Then we move to the purpose of SADC, and then ask ourselves the question: is SADC living within the confines of its objectives or goals or what they want to achieve in the region? So going to the genesis, I'm sure you may remember that SADC comes out of what used to be called the frontline states,
yes,
led by Dr. Kenneth Kaunda, our first president.
Yes, yes.
He was the figure because he was in the lead for the liberation of Southern Africa.
Yes, yes.
So that's where you tie up the role he played in South Africa with Nelson Mandela, in Zimbabwe, in all the countries, yeah, Mozambique, Tanzania, other countries. So it is from there that the idea for the frontline states was to ensure that freedom was achieved for the Southern African nations. Mm-hmm. That's how they formed that organization. Later on, it transitioned into what we today call the SADC.
Okay.
Yeah. Now, amongst many other objectives of SADC and assignments of SADC, I'll only take two. First of all, it is for the security of the region, to ensure that we come up with arrangements and agreements that will create the security and the peace of the region. Because if Zimbabwe or Malawi is insecure, then Zambia is also insecure. If South Africa is not secure, then neighboring countries are not secure.
Absolutely.
So SADC plays the role to ensure that we are looking over each other's shoulders and taking the interest of what is happening in the next country so that it doesn't spill over to us or put the whole region on fire. So that's security number one.
Okay.
The second one is on democracy.
Okay.
I've just taken those two because of the time.
Yeah.
Democracy is a system that allows a country to, be led by consensus, meaning that we call it adult suffrage in election, which means that those people who are adults can go to a polling station and vote in a leader of their choice, and the majority, produce a president. But there's a small group of the minority that are going to be led by the majority. So democracy is basically a system of governance by consensus.
Wow, beautiful.
So SADC has been tasked to do especially these two tasks, to make sure that we come up with regulations that will keep us safe. And today, as I speak, my president, Hakainde Hichilema, is the chairman for what we call the Troika, which is responsible for security, in the region. He's the chairman for it. That is why he oversees the elections. He has been sending the leaders of the mission to go out there and observe elections. So let me just talk about democracy.
Okay.
Is the region okay in terms of democracy? Are we doing well as SADC in the issues of democracy? I think the effort is there. And I think generally compared to other regions on the continent, the SADC stands out as one of the most progressive democratic experiments on the continent.
Wow.
And I can proudly say that. However, we do have challenges like any other organization does. I think what could slow down the successes of SADC would be what we call the African spirit of being afraid to talk to each other honestly about things that we don't see are going right. For instance, when one of the SADC countries is struggling in keeping the democratic tenets and ensuring that there is the rule of law in those countries, and also there's equity in the management of the elections, the presidents in the region have been finding it extremely difficult to confront one another, sometimes over the things that are happening in their countries.
I agree.
Yeah, because, there are many reasons given for that. One of them is that, well, some of the presidents feel if I'm hard on my colleague and I'm found in a similar situation tomorrow, they'll be hard on me.
Okay.
So these are comrades that, they call each other brothers, if you notice, the president. So they're a family, and they will confront each other, I know, over very, very serious issues.
Okay.
But I wish they could go a little bit further to sort of make a decision that when they're dealing with issues that are really life and death, they don't compromise.
Sure.
But if it's a small issue, they can laugh over coffee and find a way to deal with it. SADC faces a challenge. The challenge is to find if there's a rogue nation amongst the states in the SADC and the colleagues fail to point out those issues, I think that we risk losing the respect that SADC has had.
So,
and I think we are now teetering at that issue. We had a challenge in Zimbabwe not too long ago. And so what came out of that election and the way it was interpreted and the conflict it brought amongst other SADC nations gives us the indication that the problem in Zimbabwe is not a now problem. Because even when there was the former president, Robert Mugabe, he goes as one of my greatest heroes in terms of what he believed in, that, Zimbabwe belonged to Zimbabweans, their land belonged to them, and the process on how he was trying to get the land may be a little bit unorthodox, but I agreed with his principle that Zimbabwe belongs to Zimbabweans. But there were certain things that were being done during his time that other presidents were afraid to talk to him about. He was a big brother there. He was the oldest. So how do you go in Africa to an old man in authority, an old king, and tell him, sir, your dress, your gown there has got a hole at the back? It's very difficult. But I think that as we move forward, SADC has recognized its mistakes, some of the things that we have not done right. I can only hope and pray that as we move forward, SADC could become the most vibrant, the most effective, bloc on the continent of Africa. And I hope we can achieve that. So I'm still confident that the day is coming when we're going to be honest with each other and point out the wrongs that the others are doing in order to improve the overall overall image of the SADC and of our region.